Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is a slightly different type of video for me because in this I am trying to work out my favourite edition of this album here, which is the Best of Bowie, a compilation from 2002. It got to number 11 in the charts whenever it was first released, but it then got to number 1 after his death in 2016, and it stayed in the charts for a total of 162 weeks. Now there are 20 different editions, and I only have 9 of them, and I've painstakingly wrote out the track list for each 9. I'll work out what I think is the best. Each country has its own edition, and you will know whenever I show it that there's a little flag in the top corner depicting where that CD has come from. But before I do that, I'm going to quickly run through some of the David Bowie comps on the CD age, and the first major one to come out was Changes Bowie, and this is a single CD going from Space Oddity to Blue Jean. It is good, but it's got the Fame 90 remix in it, which is terrible, and the vinyl is much better because this here is missing Starman, Life on Mars and Sound and Vision, so those 3 massive hits are not on the CD. The next one, which is actually very good, from 1993. By the way, Changes Bowie got to number 1 and stayed in the charts for 31 weeks. 1993, number 9 album for 35 weeks in the charts, and this is a double CD going from Space Oddity up to Day In, Day Out. And the beauty about this one, this is just called the Singles Collection. It features Knock on Wood, which never gets on any of the greatest hits. So great to have that, but in America they released it as the singles 1969 to 1993, so you actually got Jump They Say on this, but unfortunately you didn't get Knock on Wood at all. And the reason I bought this is because it actually has a single edit of DJ, which I never have on CD. The previous album had the album version from Roger. Okay, then we get the 2002 Best of Bowie. But before I come back to it, I'll show you a couple of more, and this is Nothing Has Changed from 2014, got to number 5, stayed in the charts for 54 weeks. This is a double album. It goes from Space Oddity up to Sue. The single was released in 2014 and includes a couple of tracks from the Next Day album. Good album, but this here has a major flaw, as does the 3 CD version of it, which is this. And that is Fashion. They've done an edit on Fashion which is non-existent. It says it's the 7-inch single version. It is not. Somebody has butchered it and it sounds absolutely terrible. But this is probably the best of the lot because this goes in chronological order backwards, starting at Sue and going back to Liza Jane, his very first single. It doesn't have all the hits, but it's got all the major ones. So this is probably the best to get, even though Black Star had not been released as yet. And then we have Legacy, which is got to number 5 in the charts, and it's currently in the charts. It's spending its 308th week, and this is the single version, and this has Lazarus on it, so it's Let's Dance up to Lazarus, and it's in mixed order, which is good. And the double one, however, is in chronological order from Space Oddity up to I Can't Give Everything Away from the Black Star album. So yeah, this is very good as well. The problem I have with the Legacy album is the remix of Life on Mars, which I don't actually like. Okay, getting into the Best of Bowies. This is standard edition. It's a 2 CD edition from the UK, and this is the track list. Now, as you probably see, the main thing here is you've got Oh You Pretty Things on it, which never really gets on the greatest hits. It does on Legacy, funny enough, and I can understand why they put it on, because it was a hit for Peter Noone in 1971, before Bowie had success with Starman, but obviously after Space Oddity. And it's a really good selection. You've got Driving Saturday on this, which a lot of the versions don't include. But after Blue Jean and the mid-80s, you only get Jump They Say, Hello Space Boy, Little Wonder, I'm Afraid of Americans and Slow Burn. So there's nothing of ours, and there's nothing actually off Never Let Me Down, which is a shame. So that's the UK version. Next up we have the American version. It's also the Canadian version as well. It's the same track listing, that's why I didn't buy both CDs. And the beauty of this one is you get songs that aren't on the UK version, like All the Young Dudes is on this, which is great. Panic in Detroit is on this. Moon Age Daydream is on this as well. Thursday's Child is also on this from the Ours album, and Time Will Crawl is featured as well from the Never Let Me Down album. So I think this is actually slightly better than the UK. It is in chronological order, just like the UK, but it's still a very, very strong album. Then we have this one here, which is the Chilean version. And the beauty of the Chilean version is Rebel Rebel on this is the US remix with the lies in it. So it's the very short version, completely changed, and it's really good to have it on CD. You get other really good songs on this as well that aren't on the UK. For example, Underground and When the Wind Blows features on this, not on the UK. So it's really hard to say which ones I prefer, because I like the idea of some of these sort of lesser hits getting on instead of the normal bog standard hits, but still it's a decent enough version and I really do enjoy it, and especially to have the US version of Rebel Rebel. Okay, and the last double version I have of Best of Bowie is the Danish version. Now this is not in chronological order, and the reason I really like this is because you don't know what to expect next. When it's in chronological order and a song is missed, it's not on there, you think that should have been on. For example, Ziggy Stardust stops and Suffragette City doesn't come on. However, with this you don't know what's coming next, and I like that. It starts off with Let's Dance and then goes into Rebel Rebel. And now the beauty of this one, it features a couple of tracks that are not in any of them either. Black Tie, White Noise gets on this, and that's one of the reasons I really got to like that song, because of this CD. And the last song, which is not on any of the other CDs, is Rock and Roll Suicide. So yeah, this is probably one of my favourites as well. And it also features Driving Saturday, which is in the UK version, but it doesn't seem to get on any other version at all. So a very, very good selection of songs. And as I say, it's a surprise to hear what comes next. For example, after John and Money Dancing, you don't expect to hear Day In Day Out, which is really nice to hear. And Day In Day Out is not in the UK version either. So this is the Danish version. Now we've got a few more, and the Italian one. It's a single CD, and here's the track listing. Yeah, it's a decent enough track listing, nothing out of the ordinary, so you get your normal hits from the 70s, 80s, and Little Wonder and Slow Burn. It's okay. And then you have this one here, I believe is the Netherlands version. And as you can see, the wee picture of the flag. And the beauty of this one is that you get the live version of Tonight, which I think was a hit in Holland, or maybe it was Norway, but it's on Tina Turner's live album, so you don't get the actual studio version, you get the live version, which is nice for a change. And this is all mixed up, so this starts with Let's Dance, then goes into Under Pressure, then the Jean Genie, then China Girl. So yeah, it's a good album as well. And then this one is the Swedish version, which was bought in Tesco in Ballymena, and this is just your normal standard. And Space Oddity, Life on Mars, Changes. Cat People is the one that's slightly different, that you would normally never get, although it does feature in quite a few of the other ones I've just shown. Blue Jean, and this only goes up to absolute beginners. And the last one, no sorry, there's two more. This one here is the Australian version. It's a single one, and again very similar to the last one, although it does go up to slow burn. And you do get 1984 in this as well, which is nice, which you don't really get in any of the other ones. So the last one is actually Germany, Switzerland and Austria. And on this, the new material, well, Thursday's Child's on here, which is good. You do get Fame 90, which is terrible, and you get Helden, the German version of Heroes, which is good to have, along with the rest of them. So yeah, Cat People is also on this, and When the Wind Blows is on this. So what would be my favourite? My favourite is actually the Danish version. Whenever they're all mixed up, you don't know what's coming next, you don't know what is actually missing from the UK, although I do know that a couple of tracks, Oh You Pretty Things is not on here, and Wild as the Wind's not on here, but I'm not really too sure what else is not on. Maybe TVC15, which is not one of my favourites, no, it's not on either, so I've worked out three of them. But this is my go-to, this is the one I would play a lot. Even with a shuffle, as shuffled as it is, but even with a shuffle I would still play it, and I think this is my #1 Bowie compilation, after the Nothing Has Changed triple one, which it still annoys me about the edit of Fashion. So overall there are 63 versions of songs over 20 editions. So the highest of the, I think it's 40 songs on one double CD, so there's 23 other songs spread about different editions throughout the world, and yeah, I think it's a fantastic album. It's my favourite cover as well of those best ofs. I think this is a really good cover. So that's Best of Bowie from 2002. Okay, that's my which one do I prefer video. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.